Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial where today we're going to be combining Photoshop and Illustrator to create a nice wavy line pattern and then make a nice retro synthwave poster that you see here. So let's just jump right into it and let's see what we can create. So inside of Illustrator we're going to make a nice new document. Doesn't quite matter what the size is, but we'll just make it 5000 by 5000. And then we're going to take our line segment tool here and we're going to draw out a nice thin line. And then we're going to copy it all the way down, and we'll increase the thickness of it to about 4 points. That looks pretty good. So we'll just take our blend tool here, and this is going to create all the lines in between. If we select the top one and the bottom one, and you can see it's filled in with all the lines that we need. So one thing you can do is double click on the blend tool and increase the amount if you want more or less lines. So we'll bump that up to 50. And that looks good to me. Click OK. And now here comes the fun bit. To add the wavy lines, what we're going to do is make sure our object is selected. Go to Object, Envelop Distort, and then Make with Mesh. And what this is going to give you is some options to increase the density of the mesh. So if you click the preview button on here, we up the count here, you can see we're just adding more nodes which you can use to then move and influence the lines around it. So I'm going to keep mine to 5 rows and 5 columns. You don't want to get too detailed with this because then it can get a bit fiddly. So simple is better with this. So we're going to keep it at 5, click OK, and then with the direct selection tool selected, we're then going to start moving some points around. And you can see it works kind of like the same way the pen tool does. We've got these areas of influence, and if you move these, then it moves the lines around it as well. So we're just going to make something that we like the look of. I'll get back to you when it's done. So here we got some nice high peaks and some nice low valleys, which we can use then to add an image in the middle, which is what we're going to do later, and make a nice poster out of this like you saw earlier. So what we're going to do now is copy and paste this into Photoshop and start editing it. So over in Photoshop here I got a new document made, which is just a standard sort of A4 size, and I'm going to paste in our lines as a smart object. This is quite important if you want to edit the lines later on. You can always go back in and then re-edit them, and it'll update in Photoshop live. So we're going to paste them in, and we're going to make it, I'm going to scale them a little bit. And just get it in the place that I want. And we're going to add a nice dark background as well. Do a nice solid color, black. And we're going to really punch the effect with our lines by adding a nice gradient fill to them. So let's right click on the smart object, go to blending options, and I'm going to add gradient overlay. And Photoshop has a nice gradient already pre-built in, so if you just click the gradients and go to purples, it's this one here if you want to go for the nice sort of synthwave effect, which is what we're after here. So we're going to select that one, click OK, and then we're going to add our subject into it. Now I've already got one cut out here, which is a stock image, which I've linked in the description below if you'd like to use it. So we're going to take it and we're going to drag and drop her into our document. And we're going to place her roughly in the middle. And I'm going to increase my lines just a little bit. Just to have a little bit more height. And I'm going to bring it down just a smidge. And now what we're going to have now is we're going to try and get the lines weaving in and out of here. So to do this, what we're going to do is we're going to make a duplicate of our layer. And we're going to put it in front of it, and then we're going to control click on our model and then put that as a mask. And then what we're going to do is we're going to invert that mask by just pressing Control I with the mask selected. And we're going to go down and we're going to get our brush tool out. We're going to make our brush nice and small, and then we're just going to paint in the areas with white selected in our foreground where we want the lines to come in. So we're just going to do this until we get something that we like. As you can see, we got some nice lines weaving in and out of our subject, and you can take this as far as you want, really. The sky's the limit with this. So next up, to give it more of a retro vibe and really hit home with a synthwave effect, what we're going to do is we're going to add a nice little glow to this, and a nice little noise layer on top, and maybe add some texture to it as well. So first off, we need to increase the contrast of our model. So we're going to get a nice curves adjustment layer, clip it to our model, and we're just going to boost up the colors just a little bit, boost up the brightness, and bring down the darkness. And for our lines layer, kind of want to increase the saturation of it just to give it more of a punch. So we're going to take our bottom layer, we're going to make a new 2 saturation, and I'm just going to bump that right up. And we're going to copy that layer, and we're going to clip it to our top one as well, just so it has the same effect. So that's really just going to give it a little bit more of a punch. So one thing I want to do is add a nice glow to these lines. So we'll take our lines layer, we go to blending options, and we'll add a nice outer glow. And we'll just play around with the settings a little bit to get what we want. We don't want to go too crazy with it because then it can quickly become too much. We have it. One thing I'll do is tidy up our mask here a little bit because we're starting to get a bit of bleed in. So now it's black selected. We'll just colour these areas back in that are bleeding through. See a bit of bleeding for there. And that looks fine. Now one thing we want to add as well is a nice bit of text underneath here, just to make it pop just a little bit more. So we'll get our text tool out, and I think we'll just put jump in a nice big bold font, which we're using Akira, which is a great font to use for this kind of stuff. So I'll make that white. We'll scale him up, and we'll put him underneath our subject. We'll grab, we'll control click on here again, and then we'll add a mask to our text. Control I to invert it, and it's behind. So one thing I want to do as well is add a nice glow to it as well, just so it matches the rest of our image. So we'll right click on our object, go to blending options, and we'll add a nice outer glow. And we bump that up just a bit, just so you can see it. So now it's time to add a nice texture to it and really try and finish off the image as best as we can. So I've got a nice paper texture here, which I'm going to drag in. And that's just going to go over, I'm just going to sit over the top of it. And we're going to set that to lighten color. And you can see that's really sort of like crunching those blacks and giving us a nice old-fashioned vibe. But we're not done yet. What we're going to do is, so we're not done with this yet, so we're going to add a nice noise layer to this now, creating a new layer. We're going to fill it with black. We're going to go to filter, noise, add noise. About 7% is fine. And then we're going to go to, let's do lighten color. Zoom in and have a little look on that, just to see what it's doing. I think screen will work on that better. And to amp up the effect even more, what we can do is we can do Control Alt Shift and E, and then we can do filter, other, high pass, and then just dial this in, make it quite a high number, click OK, and just set this to hard light. And what we can do is turn my noise down just a little bit, and turn my paper down just a little bit more. So we can see what this is doing. If I turn this on and off, it's really sort of like punching up the noise effect of it. Just making everything just a little bit sharper. but I kind of want a little bit more glow than this. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our lines layer again, and maybe one more time. Yeah, I'll take that back, and what we'll do is we'll do filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we'll notch that down just a little bit. And that's giving us nice little effect there. So one thing we can do now is our subject's kind of getting a bit lost with all this glow going on. So I'm going to reduce the opacity of that just a little bit, and I'm going to create a new layer behind everything. With my brush selected, and I'm going to select a nice pinkish colour, which I'm going to increase a little bit. Get that neon pink, nice magenta, and a nice soft brush selected. I'm going to put one behind it. Make that a little bit more pastely. Push it a bit bigger. A little bit more pastel again. Put it above our hue saturation layer. There we go, that's much better. We'll do the same with a nice pastel-y sky blue. And you can see they're starting to really bring her out now. And then one thing I might do actually is I might reduce the opacity of our glow just a little bit more. And what I'll do is I'll add in my logo, just to sort of finish off the bottom. And we'll add the gradient overlay to that as well. And to finish this off now, we'll just add a nice off-white border to it by creating a new layer, filling it with black, or any colour really, and moving the fill, right click, blending options, and we'll just go to stroke, and nice off-white grey. And what we need to do is centre this up a little bit because to increase, get a bit of spacing going on here. And there we have it. A nice, easy to make poster that just uses a few simple effects, combining Illustrator and Photoshop. So and there we have it, a nice, easy to do, relatively simple effect using just Illustrator and Photoshop together to create some nice wavy lines, and then some nice sort of bold gradients with high contrasting colours, and a good model to really seal the effect of creating a retro poster. So thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, please leave a comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.